Hot thoughts all in my mind. Hello everyone, Ryan here, and today I'm doing another episode of the Decade Later series. This time I'm looking back at Spoon's 2007 album, obviously, titled Ga 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 Ga. Ga 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 Ga? I think there's 5 Gars. For Ga 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 Ga. There we go. Now, Spoon is a band like no other band out there because they have 9 studio albums at this point, 9 albums, right? And they have never released a bad album. I don't know another band that's as consistent as this. Like, they've got to be one of the most consistent bands of all time because they just kill it with every release. There have been plenty of articles over the years written about Spoon and how they essentially are an anomaly in the music industry, because by this point in a band's career, after 9 albums, usually you would have at least 1 or 2 albums that weren't good at all. But Spoon, I don't know how they've done it. I mean, yeah, sure, their first 2 albums, aren't exactly celebrated in the Spoon discography anymore. No one really brings them up when they talk about Spoon, but if anyone's heard those 2 albums, they're pretty solid releases from the 90s, to be honest. I mean, they're not bad albums by any means. Their influences are fairly obvious on those releases. They're clearly influenced by Pavement, Pixies, Sonic Youth. They're obvious influences, but they're still good releases. And their 2010 album, Transference, was easily their worst album to date. But again, I don't dislike the album. It's not a bad album. It's still pretty okay. It's just that it was one of their weakest. But the thing with Spoon is that Spoon at their weakest are better than any average band. And Spoon at their best are superior to most bands out there. Girls Can Tell, Kill the Moonlight, Gimme Fiction, They Want My Soul, all amazing albums, and this album I'm talking about today from 2007 is another one that is easily one of their strongest ever. This album features some of their greatest songs ever on here, like the track The Underdog, which is just a classic Spoon song, one of my favourite songs ever actually. I absolutely love this song. It has an amazing horn section. It's got a really poppy melody to it. The hand claps sound fantastic as well, and apparently the lyrics are a stab against their old record label. They had some beef there, so this track is actually about them, which is pretty cool. And also Don't You Ever, which has this incredible groove to it. Just the way the track moves along, that bass as well just sounds so slick. Oh man, I absolutely track. And I have to talk about The Underdog again because it's just an amazing track. I absolutely love a great horn section in a track. If there's a good horn section, I'm in there. I'm a sucker for horn sections in any song. But I've got to mention the opening track too, Don't Make Me a Target, which is actually a stab at George Bush, which feels weird now because obviously that feels so long ago when he was in charge of the USA. But yeah, this track is about how all of the terrible foreign policy things that the US got themselves involved with, and how Britt Daniel here is singing about he doesn't want to be a target, he doesn't want to be a victim of all the stupidity that George Bush put America under. I mean, we have plenty of anti-Donald Trump songs these days, but they're all a bit too on the nose and a bit too obvious. But this actually is a really clever track. I think the way that Britt Daniel projects himself as the one that could be a victim, I think that's a really clever way to write a song. And the rest of this album just has so many memorable hooks, like "You got your cherry bomb." You don't even have to pay attention to the lyrics all that deeply because the hooks just stick with you instantaneously. It's unreal. My little Japanese cigarette case. And then there are tracks like Finer Feelings, which has this kind of old school dirty rock sound to it, but then Britt Daniel is sort of doing a spoken word thing over the instrumental, but it doesn't sound lazy or anything like that. It actually sounds really good, and even when he does spoken word type music, he's not singing to his best, he still sounds great and it still sounds incredibly catchy. I think at this point Spoon is an essential rock band. To anyone that thinks like rock music is just completely dead and buried, it kind of is in a sense, but you've got to go to Spoon to find the best because these guys just know how to make a catchy melody, an amazing chorus that sticks with you, and it's done in a pop way, an appealing pop way, but it's never like sounding like they're completely selling out and making bland, boring pop music. I think at this point, Spoon are one of the best indie rock bands ever. There aren't many bands that make indie rock as good as this. This is absolutely essential. You've got to make sure you give this a listen. I'm going to say it's an A minus. It's one of my favourite Spoon albums, but then I can't really rank them because I feel like most Spoon albums are just my favourite albums. Make sure you give this album a listen if you've never heard it before. I cannot recommend it enough. And if you like this review, make sure you subscribe to the channel for more music reviews every day. You can check out one of my other Decade Later reviews. I've done a few other albums from 2007 already. There'll be many more to come. And also, have a good day.